Okay, so hopefully by now you have got the blues chord progression down, the 1-4-5 12-bar sequence under your fingers, and you're starting to play it with a swing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a riff based around each power chord that's just going to make this sound instantly bluesy. You can hear this on so many classic blues recordings. This really is a go-to for blues guitar players. So let's start off with our power chords. Now, although I've been telling you to hold the chords as 3-note power chords, you can actually, for the first 2 chords, just play the root and the 5th. You can hold the entire chord, but you're going to be adding your 3rd finger a whole tone higher than your 1st finger. So don't worry if you don't sound the D string is what I'm getting at. Really, the focus is going to be on the low strings, but it's when we come to the B5 chord, it's good for us to be holding these additional notes. But we'll come to that in a moment. So what you're going to do is hold your E5 chord and you're going to play it for 2 strums. And then you're going to play, again, we're using the swing rhythm, don't forget. Then you're going to add your 3rd finger onto the 4th fret A. Okay, so you can play all 3. All 3 strings. Don't worry if you mute out the D string. If you only hear, that's fine. So you're going to play 2 strums on the E5. So that's E6. So you're going to go E5 for 2 swung down strikes. And then we're going to do the same thing on E6. Okay, and then repeat. Okay, now you can use a little bit of palm muting. Palm muting is a technique where we take the palm and we lay it on the bridge, but we gently touch the strings. We're not like, you know, muting it out so there's no audible sound. You're just sort of muffling the sound of the string slightly. If you can't do that, don't worry, you can just play it. I quite like the sound of it with a little bit of muting on there because it just makes it sound a little bit more controlled and a bit tighter. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to fret our A5 power chord and we're going to add our 3rd finger in the same way on the D string at the 4th fret. So you'll have A5 for 2 strikes and then add your 3rd finger, and that gives us A6th. It's exactly the same move, just dropped down by a set of strings. You get. Take care with that picking hand. Make sure you are keeping it nice and focused on the strings that you are fretting. You don't want to be striking open strings, unwanted open strings. Now, the B5 chord is a little bit controversial. To be able to hold the root note and the rest of the chord, you've got to do this ridiculous stretch, which is pretty hard, even for the most accomplished guitar players. I'm quite blessed with very big hands, and even I find some of those stretches pretty hard when you get down to the, you know, holding chord shapes at the first few frets. So we can do the Stevie Ray Vaughan trick. You can actually fret the power chord, the B5. There's our B5 power chord. But eliminate the root note. Take the notes on the 4th fret D and the 4th fret G and play them with your 1st finger. So you get this. It's a power chord, but it's inverted. In other words, the root note is in the top of the chord. It's still B5. And all you're going to do is, so you're going to strike the D and the G strings on the 5th fret and then add your 3rd finger on the 6th fret D. So it's exactly the same move as the A5 and the E5. You're just moving up a whole tone, but because the root note is here or it's here, it's just a little bit tricky to play. The bass guitar and the keyboards and the rhythm guitars on the track are going to be doing that work for you. So you can just play the top portion. So our B5 to B6 chord will be like this. That's a real Stevie Ray Vaughan way of playing it. He'd be playing all these other little fills, but he wouldn't be playing necessarily these big stretches. He would keep things a little bit closer together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put all of that together. We're going to play 2 bars on each set of chords. So 2 bars of E5 to E6, 2 bars of A5 to A6, and then finish off with 2 bars of B5 to B6. Now, if you can, try and play along with me. Try and keep up. But if you can't do that, don't worry. It doesn't matter. Take your time. Remember, you've got to get used to the swing rhythm, holding power chords, and now also adding that additional finger. But this riff is just such a strong part of blues guitar. If you want to play blues guitar and you want it to sound instantly bluesy, just play this riff. Okay, let's put the chords together. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so take care with those chords, get used to that change. Remember, 1 and on the 5 chord, and then 2 and on the 6th chord. And you're just changing between those 2 different chords using a swing rhythm. So what you're now going to do is you're going to put those chords together, but in the order of the 12-bar blues. So make sure you've got that 12-bar blues down.